This is the beginning of a 7-year cycle. You're going to want to know what's going on here. We're talking about the planet of Saturn and the planet of Uranus. Both planets are shifting signs. And this is going to last Saturn 2.5 years, Uranus 7 years. This is very important because globally there's going to be a massive shift that hasn't happened in decades. And personally, if you know your personal if you know your personal chart, you're going to have to take a look at what house is Saturn and Uranus is in and what planets is it affecting. Obviously, if your sun sign, your rising, or your moon sign happens to be in one of these signs or opposing squaring, this will be a challenging year for you, but that means that you're going through a spiritual upgrade. If it's in a positive sign, then this means that it will be a bit easier for you than everyone else. So hang in there. Let's see, what does this mean for us globally? But let's take a look historically. Historically, this has not been a match, wait to hear this, since April of 1851 and April of 1852. Can you imagine? This is starting in April of 2025. Okay, 52, 25. And it has not been a match since 1852. Saturn was in Pisces and Taurus. Uranus was in Taurus. Now, what happened in 1852? But why is this so rare? Saturn's 29.5-year cycle and Uranus' 84-year cycle align in significant signs very infrequently, roughly every 252 years. The least common multiple connections for this exact pairing, though other factors such as retrogrades, sign boundaries, etc., can tweak it. So the next time is now, right now. What happened in 1851 and 1852 that coincides with right now? This is very interesting because it actually coincides with some of the predictions that I did in 2024 that we're going to start in March and April of 2025. The first one is what happened in China. It was called the Rebellion Gains Momentum. Now, the reason that this coincides is because I do feel that there is going to be a civil war that is going to happen with China amongst other countries. I had predicted it would be with Russia, and it may also continue with the United States and possibly Canada. I don't believe that this is going to be a physical war. I believe it'll be an economic war. But what happened in 1851 and 1852 was, and this is also going to coincide with the other prediction that I have around religion and spirituality. So hang in there. Queen Kwan, I might be saying that wrong, probably him, claiming to be Jesus' brother, launched a Taiping Rebellion against the Qing dynasty in January 1851, and by 51 and 52, it swelled into a full-scale civil war. Why is this big? One of history's deadliest conflicts. It shook China's stability, blending spiritual fever with social upheaval. Uranus and Taurus might reflect the economic discontent, land poverty, with Saturn in places that mirror the chaotic dissolve of old orders. Okay, so we're looking at the United States, we're looking at China, we're looking at Russia, we're looking at Canada. But the other ones that I'm seeing is also the other Middle East countries that are within many other countries, and from what I've heard, it's already started in Europe. It's not being publicized right now, but many of my European clients are telling me there's a huge upheaval and fight and protesting going on right now. And it's a combination of wanting to take over a religious platform within those countries. So other religious rebellion going into, let's say, Christian countries and saying you need to belong to our religion. And then there's a battle and a fight. And again, it's already started. It is going to be a fight against minority, which means if you look like a visible minority, there will be a lot of upheaval around that. I'm hesitating because I think this is terrible. It's wrong. And I don't want to come across as racist myself. It's just what I'm seeing. And because of this, between the political climate and the spiritual climate, now the United States is also going to come out strong and go, we're all Christians. Everyone should be a Christian. Everyone should follow Christ. And if you look at their dollar bill, remember, I'm Canadian, guys. If you look at their dollar bill, it basically, in God we trust. So this is going to be something that's going to be strongly advised that we follow God's ruling, God's laws. This isn't going to come from the people. This is going to come from the government. But the people will argue against, I'm Christian, I'm not Christian. I'm spiritual, I am Christian. Now, there's already been proof that 70% of the people will say that they're Christian and they're religious and spiritual. And 30% will say that they don't follow any religion, they're just spiritual. So the ones that are following just spirituality without a dogmatic religion will be the ones that are ostracized. And so you'll feel like you have to be Christian or God-fearing, for example. But then the ones that are not in Christianity will also feel that they have to fight for their belief system. So this is a battle, this is a war of religion against religion and race against race. And I believe that this will start, well, it's already starting, but it'll be quite prevalent in August and September of 2025. The other thing was the Great Flood in 1951. It swept the United States in the Midwest from May to August of 1851. Now, I already predicted a flood that was going to happen during this Mercury retrograde. There's already been a couple that started, let's say this energy started mid-March, and it's going to mid-April. So we still have a couple more weeks because I am producing this on March 26th of 2025. Now, let's take a look at when it happened. It happened in May and August of 1851. So if I'm off by a couple of weeks, that's not a big deal because this is we started this Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde with a lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse, the energy of the moon affects the waters and the tides, etc. So I would say that the next prediction around this would be in the full moon, May 11th. So let's take a look at around May 11th of 2025 for a significant flood. Now, I had already predicted as well that there's going to be government involved in this because I believe that the flood will either be something like a dike or something that could have been controlled. And if the government would have stepped in, or the old government knew about this, could have avoided it. Okay, now, is it going to be the Midwest? Yes, I do believe it will be the Midwest, somehow connected to the Mississippi. That I feel that are going to be hit is the Oroville Dam, which is in Northern California, the Hoover Dam, the Dwashak Dam, and the Glen Canyon Dam. These are the ones. This is the Colorado River, Feather River, and Clear River. Is there, I'm also seeing the Mississippi Dam. These are all, that's in Minnesota. They're all in Minnesota. And that's for the dams of the upper Mississippi River. Again, I'm also seeing that connection for April and May of 2025. And then we're looking at another connection when Saturn and Uranus connect, and so there's also July of 2025. In order to understand why this is happening on a spiritual level, we want to understand that we are not in control. When the weather or unpredictable events such as breaking of dams or an economic breakdown due to government is out of control, we want to take back what do we have control over. Saturn is about control, but Pisces is about healing and dismantling. What control is creating an upheaval in our spirituality, because that's when we're taking a look at control and spirituality, or significance of religion and control. Remember that there was a time when religion and politics were one. They were one. They were tied together. The church was the politics, and the politics would always rely on the church. And then they separated in the early 1900s. So we're going to be taking a look at that throughout the rest of this year. This whole 7-year cycle is going to be about taking our power back, taking back our own belief systems and our own religions, dismantling the ancient religions and bringing them back into the forefront. A lot of discoveries are going to happen that's going to prove to us that we are a much more empowered species than we're giving ourselves credit for. There is going to be a rebellion and somewhat of an economic civil war that is going to affect southern China and the United States, Russia, and Canada, and also the upheaval or sudden unexpected shift in the next year in our economics, which means the power of the dollar. And this is eventually going to create more of a barter system in which we have to rely on our local and our own individual persons, where we support each other and we help each other, and we grow food for each other, we buy food from each other, and it's not that hard. In Canada, it's a little more difficult because of our winters. But I really look forward to April to October because I have a consistent flow of food, meat, and vegetables and fruit from my local organic farmer. And that's the only place I buy everything and anything that I want. And I eat that way, that 100 sort of mile diet. There is going to be a big shift in France as well, from democracy, and it will have a ripple effect across Europe and the political landscape. Saturn in Pisces could signal this murky power grab, and Uranus in Taurus is a jolt of material stability, specifically as France is going to be restructured. France wants to be the leader of what happens, as well as Germany, about what's happening in Europe. They want the whole European power or disempowerment to be overhauled and changed. And France, I think, wants to separate and go on their own. And Germany may join them as well in this feat. There's going to continue to be upheaval with farming in Holland, in the Netherlands. And Ukraine and Russia, they're doing their own thing as they always have. Nothing much is going to change there. That's what I'm seeing astrologically and clairvoyantly. I'd love your thoughts. Please subscribe for more of these. I don't come out with them often, but when I do, there is a lot of information. And I'd also like your own education, your own intuition, and how you feel this next month is going to go. Because of these two events that are going to affect the next 2.5 and also 7 years. The next 2.5 years is going to be a massive market crash. Most of it's going to be around real estate, and that's going to begin soon. It's going to be at its peak in the fall of 2025 for this year, and then it's going to have a second peak for 2026 in February and March. Full moon will be in April 11th of 2026, and then we have one full moon, and then we have one new moon, which will be 25th of April. Expect the memorable, but the second one more so memorable, of 2025. I've always said that June is when they're going to launch of 2025 a new currency. Everyone's going to do their different ones. The United States will do one. Canada will follow behind closed doors on the 25th of April. We're also looking at a re-election or an election time on April 25th. I've always told you guys that Carney is going to win. I had said it originally that Pierre Poilievre would win, but then a few months later I said there was going to be a surprise last minute. The same thing that happened in the United States. The surprise last minute, the person that's already famous is going to pop in and challenge, be very, very, very Pierre Poilievre, which is exactly what happened with Carney. And I now believe Carney will win because it is predetermined. Doesn't matter how we vote. Now, does this have to happen? Absolutely. I don't agree with who should win or who shouldn't win. What I do see is that they have slid Carney in 100% to fight against the United States agenda. And that doesn't mean that's a good idea or not a good idea, but this battle between a very worldly, powerful country, which is the United States, and that's their intention, is to be the most powerful country in the world with resources, is trying to pick up Canada so that it makes them more powerful with our resources. Well, Canada will fight kicking and screaming against their own independence, like an 18-year-old teenager wanting to go against mom and dad and not depend on. The worse that we treat each other, the weaker we are and the less successful it will be. The combination of two powerhouses, resource-wise, is not a bad idea. That's just my opinion. I hope this helps you understand, prepare yourself, and be aware these changes are necessary. People that have not gotten themselves in deep water financially in the last 5 years will definitely benefit from some of downfalls of the real estate market. We're looking at like the half, if not more. Half of wherever you are, dropping down half. Okay, so strongly advise, if you sell anything now, do it ASAP and don't expect what you should, okay? Otherwise, everyone's going to be claiming completely tank our banking system. Hope this helps. Namaste.